Hello everyone, Miraki. I'm Donald Explorato and welcome to ANP class. In this video, we're discussing about your directional terms. We are done with your anatomical position. Okay, we are now going to discuss your directional terms. Okay, your directional terms. What is the importance of using your directional terms? Remember that your directional terms, anatomical terms, okay, specifically directional terms, it is used to describe position. Okay, it is used to describe the position. It is used to describe the position of one, take note of this, of one external, not internal, of one external structures. If you're going to describe the position of an external, that's directional terms. Describe the position of one external structures relative to, okay, relative to one another. Relative to one another. Because if you're going to describe the position of an internal structure, okay, ibang usapan na yon. We'll be using, okay, your planes and your sections. Okay, we will first focus on the external structures that is relative to one another. This is very important. Okay, anatomy ito. Kailangan nyo ito. First year hanggang fourth year, kahit ikaw po ay nurse na. Importante yung anatomy na yan. Okay, let's start with, okay, the first term that we need to ponder. Okay, we have your anterior and your posterior. Okay, we have your anterior and your posterior. Anterior and your posterior. Anterior and your posterior. Okay, your anterior, okay, anterior, that is the front of the body. Okay, front of the body. Front of the body. Okay, can be also used, okay, another term for anterior that is acceptable, okay, as an anatomic term is ventral. Anterior, front of the body, while posterior, what is a posterior? Back of the body. Okay, back of the body. Okay, back of the body. Back of the body. Or also, okay, another term that is acceptable is dorsal. Dorsal. Okay, so that is the first term. We have anterior and posterior. Anterior, front of the body. Other term, ventral. Posterior, what is posterior? Back of the body, dorsal. Okay, let's take a look with this figure. Okay, anterior, front of the body. Posterior, back of the body. Ito, para mas ma-appreciate natin, I have a figure here. You have to take a look on the figure. Okay, ayan. Okay, this is the anterior part. Okay, that is the anterior. Yung harap, sango, apodata, sango, ventral, anterior, posterior, back of the body, back. Other term, dorsal, likod. Yan yung tinatawag natin na anterior and posterior. Okay, I have a side note here. In four-legged animals, the term ventral, okay, and dorsal, okay, correspond to anterior and posterior. In humans, sa animals, ang ventral nila yung belly part. Yung dorsal nila, yun yung back of the animal. Okay, so that's the first, anterior and posterior. Anterior front, posterior back. Okay, so starting from now, you have to substitute, okay, the common terms na ginagamit nyo dati. Pag sinabi mong front, anterior. Pag sinabi mong back, posterior. So start using them sa bahay nyo. Okay, para ma-synthesize, masanay kayo. Okay, pag ginamit nyo yung mga anterior and posterior na yan. Okay, going back to this figure. Okay, your number 1 is anterior and posterior. Another, number 2. Okay, number 2. Okay, we have your superior. Okay, by the way, let's have an example of your anterior and your posterior. Anterior. Okay, my navel, this is your navel, is anterior or ventral surface of the body. Nasa harap. Tama. Your heel, ayun, is posterior to the toes. Nasa likod. Okay, yung heel natin. Anterior, harap, posterior, likod. Gets? Okay, next. Okay, next term, directional term, anatomical term. We have your superior and your inferior. Okay, superior and your inferior. Okay, the term superior, okay, correspond to the term above. Okay, correspond to the term above or towards the head. Okay, or towards the head. Or towards the head. Okay? Whereas the term inferior, dito na lang para mas maliwanag. Okay? The term inferior takes place the term of the word below. Okay? Okay? Below. Ayan. So, starting from now, dapat hindi na below ang ginagamit mo. Kasi nursing student ka, dapat inferior. Grabe naman yung pananalita mo sa akin. That's inferior. Okay? Below the belt. Diba? That's inferior to the belt. Charlie. Okay? Below. Okay? Below. Or, okay, towards the feet. Okay? Towards the feet. Towards the feet. Again, pag sinabing superior, above or towards the head. Okay, or other term for your superior is your cephalic. Okay, cephalic. Pag inferior, caudal. Kaya guys, when you do your assessment, okay, your nursing assessment sa patient natin, may makikita ka doon minsan sa chart ng patient nyo ha. Just as what you should know, just an information, may nakalagay doon na cephalocaudal assessment. Ibig sabihin pag cephalo means head, pag caudal inferior. Pag sinabi mong cephalocaudal assessment, yung assessment ng nurse is from head to toe. Yan yon. O paano pag hindi mo alam yung cephalo, hindi mo alam yung caudal, o mawiwindang ka, wala ka na talaga. So that's very important. That's the importance of your anatomy. Napaka-importante, basic, paulit-ulit kong sinasabi sa inyo. Again, superior takes place the term above, inferior is your below. Okay, so yan yon. Okay, so ang example dyan is, okay, pag superior towards the head, kapag inferior towards the feet. Okay? So, eto, for example, point A, okay, is superior to point B. Okay? Superior to point B. Ito, superior. Ito, inferior. Okay? O, ito, ano to? Inferior. Ano yan? Superior. Ayan. So, yun yung superior and your inferior. Di ba madali lang class? Substitute mo lang naman eh. Okay? Madali lang, di ba? I-substitute mo lang. Di ba? Madali lang naman siyang palitan. Tulad ng pagpalit mo sa ex mo. 1 week nga lang, di ba? Char! Okay. Now, another term that we need to ponder aside from anterior and posterior. We're done with your anterior, posterior. We go now to proximal or distal. Tataas natin. Okay. We have the term. Okay. Anong number na tayo? Number 3. We have your proximal. Okay. We have your proximal. And we have the term distal. Proximal and distal. First, remember that your proximal and distal, they are only used, take note, they are only used when describing points on the same limb. Ibig sabihin, okay, ginagamit lang po ito when describing points of the same limb. Lalagay ko lang dito, use only. Okay, use only when describing, okay, describing 2 points. Describing 2 points. Okay. Pasensya na, masyadong maingay kasi. Just don't mind them. Use only when describing 2 points on the same. Okay, on the same limbs. Okay, so ibig sabihin on the same limb, your arm or your leg. So if the point is not in your limb, huwag mo nang gagamitin yung term na to. Okay, kailan mo lang ginagamit yan? It is used only when describing 2 points, okay, on the same limb. Okay, so yun yung ibig sabihin ng proximal, yun yung, kung kailan mo siya ginagamit, sorry, proximal and your distal. Take note, dito tayo sa proximal. Pag sinabi nating proximal, it is only used, okay, only used when describing, sorry, okay, nasulat ko na pala yan. Paulit-ulit eh. Okay. Sorry. Proximal. Okay. Nasulat ko na pala yun. Proximal. O anong proximal natin? Proximal, closer. Okay. Closer to where the arm closer, were, toward the arm. Kasi ginagamit lang, same point, were the arm, okay, or leg. Or leg is inserted. Okay, is inserted into the body. Is inserted to the body. Inserted to the body. That is your proximal. Okay, that is your proximal. Closer. Pag sinabi naman nating distal class, from the term alone, distal. Okay? Further away. Ayan, distal. Okay, distal. Okay, further away. Ayan. From where? Okay, distal is further away from where arm or leg, from where arm or leg inserts into the body. Inserts into the body. Inserts into the body. Distal, proximal, closer. Distal, further away. O, ayan. Okay? Kung iniwan ka na, distal. Nung naging kayo, closer. Char. Okay? Distal. O, parang ganito yan. Pag sinabi nating proximal, closer to where an arm or leg inserts to the body. So, proximal. Okay? That's your proximal. Distal. Okay? Distal. Away from the body. So, ginagamit po ito, okay, when you're describing 2 points on the same limb. Lalo na sa may part ng axial body, which includes your head, your neck, your trunk, or your appendicular, okay, your appendicular, which is specifically your limbs. O, titignan natin ha. On the leg po tayo. On the leg. Bibigyan natin ng example. Tataas ko lang. Ayan. Ay, ito na lang. Ayan. May isa pang figure dito. Okay, maganda na marami tayong reserba. Kailangan natin ng reserba pag ano. Sorry. Okay. An example. Okay, example. On the leg. Okay, example on the leg. Tignan natin. Example on the leg. On the leg, your knee, your knee is proximal. Okay, is proximal to the ankle. Proximal to the ankle. So, bakit proximal? Kasi nga closer. Okay? Okay, it is closer to where the arm or leg is inserted to the body. Okay? Nakukuha ba natin? Nakukuha? Okay. Yung leg. Now, another example is dito naman tayo sa on the arm. Dito naman tayo sa on the arm. On the arm, okay, on the arm, your wrist. Your wrist. Do you follow? Okay, your wrist is distal. Okay, is distal to your elbow. Okay, distal to your elbow. Bakit distal, sir? Okay, it is further away from where the arm or leg inserts into the body. Okay, so yun yung ating proximal or distal. Proximal, closer. Distal, away from the body. Okay, now, another term that we need to ponder aside from your anterior, posterior, your superior, inferior, nandun din yung ating tinatawag na medial and your lateral. Okay, we have also your medial and your lateral. Medial and your lateral. Medial or lateral. Pag sinabi nating medial, obviously medial, gitna. Okay, it is toward, okay, toward the midline. Okay, towards the midline of the body. Towards the midline of the body. Towards the midline of the body. Whereas kapag sinabi mong lateral, it is toward the side. Toward the side. Okay, towards the side of the body. Toward the side of the body. Toward the side of the body. Okay. So, pag sinabi nating medial, ano yung medial again? Towards the midline. Pag sinabi mong lateral, towards the side. Anong magandang example dyan? Okay, nose. Ayan yung nose mo. Nasa gitna ba siya or nasa side? Gitna. So, medial or lateral? Medial. Very good margin. Okay? Medial. Okay? Your thumb. Ano yung thumb mo? Nasa gitna o hindi? No, nasa side. Thumb is lateral to the third finger. Okay? Yung imaginary line lang that cuts the body in half, yun yung tinatawag nating medial. Ayan, medial. Perfect. Diba? That's your medial towards the midline. And the last one, the last term, okay, that we need to know. Okay, tataas lang natin, class. Okay. Buburahin ko lang. Okay. O, sige. 3%. Ang ingay-ingay mo, Charlie. Okay, number 5. Okay, superficial. Okay, superficial. Superficial. And deep. Superficial and deep. O, ano naman to, class? What about superficial and your deep? Pag sinabi nating superficial, it is closer to the surface of the body. Closer to the surface. Superficial, closer to the surface. Closer to the surface of the body. Of the body. Pag sinabi nating deep, obviously, pag deep, it is further from. Okay, further from the surface. Further from the surface of the body. Surface of the body. What is a good example? Okay, skin is superficial to bones. Okay? Muscle, ano ba? Pag superficial is, ayan, superficial is closer to the surface. So, the skin, okay, superficial. Okay, your muscle is further from the surface. That's your deep. So, ang sample ng superficial, skin is superficial. Okay, muscle is deeper. Okay, the skin. So, that is all about your anatomical terms. Okay, let's try this. Using anatomical terminology, can you describe the position of the nose relative to the eye? Okay, can you describe the position of the nose relative to the eyes? So, you have to figure it out. Ano ang mga terms na pwede mong gamitin doon? Hopefully, ang mga nilagay mo doon is nose relative to the eye. The nose is medial, nasa gitna, inferior, nasa baba, and the nose is medial, inferior to the eyes. Okay, very good. Okay, so that is all about your anatomical terms. But the question is, what if we want to observe the internal structures? Kasi yung diniscuss natin, it's all about describing two points relative external structure when describing position of your external. How about, but what if we want to observe the internal structures like the heart, the lungs, the brain? Okay? So, dun na papasok. We need now to cut the body into slices or planes. Okay? So, dun na papasok ngayon ang discussion natin about your body planes. Okay? Your body planes. Or your cuts na tinatawag natin. Your body planes, okay, your cuts or your sections na tinatawag natin. Your cuts or your sections. Your body planes, your cuts, or your sections. So if you want to observe the internal structure like the heart, the lung, the brain, we need to cut the body into slices called your planes or your sections na tinatawag po natin. So we have different planes, okay? Ano to? Body planes na tinatawag natin. So we have your sagittal plane. Okay, nandyan yung tinatawag natin na sagittal plane. We have your sagittal plane. Okay, your sagittal plane, it divides, okay, divides the body horizontally or vertically? Vertically. Divides the body vertically into right and left parts. Okay, into right and left parts. O, ayan yun. Divides the body vertically into right or left part. So, it produces a sagittal section. So, ang sagittal, it is a lengthwise cut that divides the body into left and right portion. O, titignan natin yung sagittal ha. Sundan natin mabuti. Ano ang sagittal, class? Divides the body horizontally, vertically, vertically. Lengthwise or crosswise? Lengthwise. It is a lengthwise cut that divides the body into left and right portion. Ayan yon. Okay, ayan. Sagittal plane, dinidivide niya. Sorry, hindi straight. Okay, hindi na ako straight. Pati pa ba yung pag ano natin, pag line, pag highlight. Ayan. Yan yung sagittal plane. What is your sagittal plane again? Divides the body, okay, into left and right. Ayan yon. Okay, dinidivide niya yung ating body vertically lengthwise into left and right position. So, take a look guys. Okay, take a look. Buburahin ko lang. Buburahin ko lang ha. Wait lang class. Wait lang. Saglit lang. Huwag ka masyadong excited. Okay. Remember guys, in sagittal plane, if we divide the body into the midline. Ayan. Diba? Ang sagittal, dinidivide niya yung body vertically into left and right. Ayan yon. Left and right, sagittal. Pero, if we divide the body in the midline, in the mid, ayan, yung mid. Ayan, sa gitna. If you divide the body, okay, sa gitna, into the middle, ang tawag po dyan, yan yung tinatawag nating mid-sagittal plane. Gets? Mid-sagittal plane na tinatawag natin. Okay, if we divide the body into the midline, or if cut is through the midline, that is a mid-sagittal plane. However, if the cut is not exactly, paano kapag hindi eksakto sa gitna? Paano kapag dito, class? Yung hati. Di ba sir, ang hati pa rin yan, left and right pa rin? Pero kapag yung hati ng left and right ay nasa gitna, mid-sagittal, paano nga sir kapag hindi dun eksakto sa gitna mismo? O anong tawag mo ngayon dyan? Yan yung tinatawag natin na, anong tawag dyan? Yes, very good. Yan yung tinatawag nating para-sagittal. Para-sagittal. Ang sagittal, hinahati niya ang katawan mo into left and right. Pero kapag ang hati ay nasa gitna, anong tawag, class? Mid-sagittal. Pero kapag ang hati ay hindi siya mismo sa gitna, para-sagittal plane. Are we clear? Very good. Okay, maliwanag. Okay. Very good. Okay, so buburahin ko lang ito class ha, buburahin lang natin. We are done with your first section, that is your sagittal. We go now to bura. Okay, so ibang ingay na naman yata. Lahat na lang yata ng ingay nandito sa video na Charlie. Okay, we have your another plane, frontal. Ayan, frontal. Number 2, we have your frontal, or sometimes called as your coronal virus. Okay, frontal or your coronal. Okay, ang frontal naman class, okay, or your coronal, it divides, kung dinidivide niya yung katawan mo ng left and right, sagittal. Kung mismo sa gitna ang pagdidivide niya, mid-sagittal. Pero pag hindi eksakto sa gitna, para-sagittal. Di ba? Ang bilis lang. It divides the body. Your frontal divides the body. Okay, divides the body into anterior. Okay, into anterior. O, ayan. So, interrelated lahat ng discussion natin. Pag hindi mo naman ang anterior, posterior kanina, windang, wala ka na naman. Anterior and posterior. Anterior and posterior parts. Posterior portions. Ayan, posterior portions. So, ang frontal mo, that's the face part. Okay, and the posterior is the back of the head. Hanapin natin yung frontal na yan. Ito yung front. Oops. Okay. Oops. Parang may mali ako kanina ng pag-highlight. Tama ba? Ito ba yung hin-highlight ko kanina? This is your sagittal plane, di ba? Ayan, yung sagittal plane. Oh, so sorry kanina ha. Ito yung sagittal plane. Sagittal plane. Tama, yan naman hin-highlight ko kanina eh. Pag hinati mo into left and right, sagittal plane. Pag sa gitna mismo, mid-sagittal. Pero kapag hindi eksakto, para sagittal. Okay. Yun. Okay. Now, just New Year te. Okay. May mga nagpapaturotot na dyan. Okay. O, ito. Next, gamit tayo. Frontal. Ito yung frontal. Dinidivide niya ang portion ng body into anterior and posterior. Ayan. Ito yung harap, dun yung likuran. Yun yung frontal na tinatawag natin. And we have your transverse. Buburahin ko lang class. Okay, buburahin ko lang. Okay. Number 3. How about, sir, your transverse? Bakit ba importante ito kasi? What is the importance of your planes or body section? Yun nga, if you are describing portion or parts of the internal structure like your heart, your brain, your lungs. Okay, importante kasi yun. Okay? Transverse. Ano naman ang transverse? Ang sagittal, hinahati ang katawan into left and right. Ang frontal, hinahati ang katawan natin anterior, posterior. How about your transverse? Ang transverse naman, kung ang vertical cut is sagittal, ito naman yung horizontal cut. Okay, horizontal cut. Okay, horizontal cut. So, paano naman ang division niyan? Divides the body into left and right sagittal. Okay, divides into anterior, posterior, frontal. Pag hinati mo naman ang katawan into superior, taas, above, caudal, superior and inferior portion, okay, and inferior portions, ano naman yan? That's your transverse. Obviously, tignan natin yung figure ng transverse. Ito, transverse. Ayan. Okay, pag hinati mo yung katawan into horizontal, okay, horizontal katawan, pag ganyan, horizontal, ng above, tsaka below, inferior, superior, transverse. Hinati mo ang katawan into inferior, okay, or superior, taas, tsaka baba, transverse plane. Okay, so that is all about your directional term.